to get, I have like hours and hours and hours of stuff I can talk about, so I'll try to get like specific around kind of what you guys want to hear. The first thing I want to talk about is just the 5 essential steps to making money online. Okay, so these are the 5 ingredients of the cake that is making money online. If you take out one of these ingredients, if I give you a recipe for cake and you're like, all right, it's good, but I don't want the flour, I'm like, it's not gonna look like a cake when it comes out, right? So these 5 essential steps, okay, cool. Yeah. So these 5 essential steps would be, number 1 is traffic. You need people seeing your stuff, right? You need to get your stuff in front of people. If you're not getting your stuff in front of people, you're talking to yourself. And if you're talking to yourself, they have medication for that, all right? Number 2 is branding. So people need to be able to know who you are, why you're different, and exactly what they need to do to get in touch with you or move forward with you the first second they look at what you do, right? So that's like your bio and your profile picture, the first 9 to 12 posts that they see when they come on there, right? One quick tip about, and I'm going to get into the traffic and all that stuff. I'm going to get into these things deeply, but I'm just going to tell you guys quickly what each one is. The third one is consistent content, right? It doesn't have to be super high quality consistent content. If it is high quality, even better, right? But the content itself has to be rich, right? Like if you see a video of like Pusha T, getting punched in Toronto on stage, right? It's all a mobile footage shot. You're not seeing nothing, right? But you want to see it. So you Google it and it's getting traffic, right? So it's because the content itself is valuable, right? And then consistent content, because exactly what Friday was saying, like if you're not consistent, and I'm going to tell you guys why that actually makes a huge difference in a minute, then it's really not even worth it. Don't waste your time. People always say to me like, oh, I'm going to start my intro video. I'm going to get my intro video done. I was like, your intro video is just the first video you do, right? You'll have an intro video that will be really good when you have 20 videos that you've already made and you can pull stuff from those 20 videos and make an intro video. But some people say, I'm going to make an intro video because what they're really saying is, I'm too scared to start, right? And they're making excuses, right?
Talk to them.
Right? So the next one is authenticity, right? If you're going to be doing social media and you're going to be going out there and, putting yourself out there, be yourself, right? Because if you try to be somebody else, people are going to notice and they're not going to like you, right? And if you be yourself, then some people are going to hate you, some people are going to love you, and you have to accept that. I say in social media, you have two choices. You can basically pretend to be perfect, pretend to be this person who everybody likes, and that will last for a little bit until the one moment where you get exposed and your whole career is done, right? And you don't know when or if that's going to happen, but it's going to eventually happen, right? The second option is you put your whole self out there. You say, this is me, everything about me. I'm fucked up. I'm this and that, but hey, this is me. Then you're going to get a lot of criticism. You're going to get a lot of hate, but you're going to get a lot of love, and no one can ever shut you down. No one can ever be like, oh, well, you did this. But like, yeah, I did. I posted about it. You saw me, right? Like, Beau, you got arrested. Like, yeah, I talked about it on my thing. I told everyone why, and I apologized to the public on my page, right, for the stuff that I did, right? But again, once you put that all out there, you're going to have to deal with a lot of shit. But if you can handle that while you're there, then you become bulletproof to opinions after you go, right? And then the last one, and I'll get into these a little bit more detail, but the last one is infrastructure. So you need to have a way to earn money, right? People walk around all the time to say, oh, I want money. And then you go to give them money and their hands are closed, right? You can't receive when your hands are closed. If you have no infrastructure, no way to receive the money, you're not going to make money. People all the time talk about, oh, I'm going to make this blog. I'm like, how are you making money? How are you accepting money? They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, how? Like, even if they're like, we're going to do this service. Okay, you're going to do that service. How are you accepting cash? How are you accepting money? We'll do a consultation first. And I'm like, how are you receiving the money? They're like, e-transfer? I said, okay, now you know how the money's coming in. You need to know how the actual money's received. Is it PayPal? Is it your website? Like, how is the money being received? So people who are really creative tend to do the first 4 really well, right? They're really good at getting attention and traffic. They're really good at their branding and being creative. They're really good at, creating content consistently and, being their authentic self, but then they suck at the infrastructure. Businesses are the opposite. Businesses are great at the infrastructure. They know how their payments plans are going to work. They know all the infrastructure, but they suck at the first four. So they got to hire people like TK and Brown Guy, right? So let's get into the actual individual things of this. So number one is traffic. There's 4 different ways that you can get traffic. The first way is socializing, just talking to people. And guess what? That's free, right? You always want to start with talking to people. And online, you could talk to people 24 hours a day. There's people in every time zone where there's somebody up, somebody doing business, somebody excited 24 hours a day. And you can find them if you go online. The second way is through content marketing, right? Content marketing is great, especially if you're on TikTok. We'll talk about TikTok after too. Most people are still stuck in this Instagram phase where they're like, I'm just going to post on Instagram and then I'm going to be famous. Like, maybe if you do that on TikTok, you will. But on Instagram, not as much anymore. Used to be that way. Content marketing is an essential piece of the puzzle. However, it's not the whole puzzle itself, right? So you need to be consistent with content. But if you're just hoping that, because people say, oh, I want to grow organically. What they're saying is I'm lazy and I don't want to do anything else beyond just posting. I don't want to see a holistic view of my business. So what they're really saying is like, it's like me going outside, dressing really nice and hoping to be scouted as a model. Like, it happens to people, but it's not a plan, right? And so you just can't just throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks, right? Again, with TikTok, to some degree, you can if you're consistent, right? So that's the second way. The third way is joint ventures, right? So you can get people with other big networks. What a lot of people do though is they first get involved in their career and they decide that they want to go and do joint ventures with somebody who's huge, right? They say like, oh, I know a guy who's an influencer, right? Then all of a sudden they call their boy, they get promoted, they go viral for all the wrong reasons, right? Because they didn't prepare. Or they spend $5,000. Oh, I got this new artist that they have so many followers. I spent $5,000 to be on their page. And next thing they know, all they get is hate, no traffic, nothing. Why? Because they don't know their audience and they haven't tested their content. How do you figure out your audience and test your content? Socializing first, content marketing then, right? Know your audience by talking to people, getting to know them, and then you'll know exactly the types of people you want to talk to. And when you figure that out, you'll know exactly what they like after you've spoken to them because you've tested it in your own channels first with your content. Once that works out, then you can get into joint ventures, right? Because joint ventures is great as well in terms of if you do it right, you can be really successful. I know a guy named Brendan Burchard. He wrote the book, The Millionaire Messenger. He sold his course on how to become an expert on your favorite topics. The course was $2,000, and he was in joint ventures with maybe 10 other really successful people. With his own group and then with the other people's networks, he was able to sell 3,000 units in 6 days. 3,000 times $2,000, that's $6 million that he made in a week, right? Yeah, $6 million in a week. You know what I'm saying? And with no labor costs, because it's a digital product and it's infinitely divisible with no labor costs, right?
Like
So, huh?
Like a PDF document.
It was like a video course, yeah.
Open up a Shopify website.
That's it.
That's it. I think he used Kajabi is what he used. My point is that it can go really well if you do it right. But again, you want to know who you're talking to, test your content. I made a post the other day where not the other day, this was years ago, but I made a post where I was having a conversation with my mom. We were talking about like putting a man on the moon. And I'm like, why does they say sky is the limit when they've put a man on the moon? And then my mom's like, yeah, that's just something they tell you to make you give up too soon. I was like, bars, bro. Bars. Like I should make a meme out of that, So I make this meme out of it. And I put, a Maybach in the background. I'm like, this is genius. And then I messaged this one guy that had like a really big motivational following or whatever. I was like, yo, can you post this for me? I'll pay you $100. He's like, cool. So I post it. And all of a sudden, I didn't even post it on my channel first, which I should have done if I was smart. and more experienced. But what I did was I posted on this channel. Anyways, we get like 50 to 100 comments, probably more, like actually like several hundred comments of people being like, you stole that from Logic. That's a Logic line. You're biting and blah, blah. I'm like, I didn't know who Logic was at the time. And I'm like, I'm sure my mom doesn't listen to Logic, you know? So I didn't test the content. I also didn't know their audience properly. And so if I wasn't where I was in social media at the time, not only could that have like messed up that one day for me, that could have messed up my whole career, because people they see all those comments at once and they go, forget it, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Right? So you got to be really careful about that. But also, again, it could do really well. The last stage of traffic is paid ads, right? So when you're doing paid ads, again, you can make a lot of money with paid ads, but you can waste a lot of money too. Facebook has no refunds, right? And so the thing about paid ads is it's kind of like driving from Toronto to Vancouver, right? If you put like $50 of gas into your car, and we all know where that's going these days, but if you put $50 of gas in your car and you start driving to Vancouver, and then like, you know, a couple hours go by and you need to refuel and your car stops, what most people do is they go, oh man, these cars don't work. I put $50 of gas in, I drove for a couple hours, I'm not at Vancouver, cars don't work. That's what they do with Facebook ads, right? It's like, look, you're not at your destination yet, and you need to refuel a couple times, right? It's the same thing with your ad budgets. You need to have a certain amount of ad budget per month for at least 3 to 6 months before you start to see any traction. If you're not at the point in your career where you can put $500 to $1,000 a month into your Facebook ads and see no return, and for 3 to 6 months, and it doesn't destroy your business, you're not ready for Facebook ads, right? Because the reality is that like that's how long it can take before you start seeing returns. That being said, I worked with people where this guy, one of my buddies, very low key, works with a lot of like, you know, he works with Jim Jones to do his like, you know, fitness stuff. Lots of fitness like influencers, big, huge influencers. He shows me his ad thing, right? This is just for one ad, by the way. This is not for like everything. And he spent, was it $200,000 on one ad? And I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, how many things did you sell? He's like, we sold 900. I was like, you spent 200 grand to sell 900 things? I was like, how much was the course? It's like, they were like about $1,000. I was like, oh, yeah, so you made 700 grand. I was like, cool, awesome. You made almost $1 million, right? So yeah, 200, that's fair, right? So again, paid ads can do really well, or you can just throw money down the drain, right? But how do you know whether or not you are talking to the right people? Because you socialized first, you tested your content, you even retested it with joint ventures, and you've made some money with joint ventures to now be able to afford Facebook ads, right? So it's doing those in those steps, right? So I want to talk to you guys too about content now. This is, you know, I'm going to talk about TikTok too, but before I talk about TikTok, I want to talk about one specific thing. So there's an actual formula, like a scientific formula for influence. So the reason why my marketing company did pretty well when it was like in its peak was because I wasn't just teaching people about how to get followers online. I was teaching people what I had learned through my years of dealing with like addiction and learning disabilities. So when I was going through all these different problems, I was talking to people and I was learning how the brain works, why the brain does what it does. Like I was thinking to myself, like, you know, why I don't want to smoke right now, but I'm going to keep smoking. Why does that keep happening? When I see my family members who are like, you know, totally mentally deranged because they've been on drugs for so long, I'm like, why wouldn't they just stop? Why do they keep doing what they do? When they told me I had a learning disability, I'm like, why does my brain not work like that guy's brain? What is going on? And so I started to research that. And then when I started getting into marketing, then I was able to really kind of take those same concepts and then apply them to my marketing and realize, oh, if I can figure out this scientific process on how the brain works and why we do what we do, there must be a scientific process to why someone makes a purchase. And so if I can hack that, then I can hack the sales process. So I'll tell you what it is. Very simple. And once I start to tell you this, you're going to see it everywhere and it's going to change the way you see. It's going to shift your paradigm completely. Okay. The formula for influence is repetition multiplied by emotion over time. So it's repetition multiplied by emotion over time equals influence. And so this is why companies like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and all these they put billboards everywhere. You think about, seeing a billboard, a bus shelter that says Coca-Cola, right? Are they going to, it's probably about $5,000 a month for that bus shelter. Are they going to sell $5,000 worth of Coca-Cola from that? Probably not. But they understand the need to be repeating with emotions frequently. Okay, so think about what a Coca-Cola ad is. It's a bunch of people having fun, laughing, all this different stuff. It's got the bright red colors, right? And does anyone know what the Coca-Cola slogan is? Enjoy.
Is it joy? That's what I would have said.
That's part of it, I think, but it's no, that might have been an old one too. It's taste the feeling. How do you taste a feeling? They don't. The people, you guys have to understand, the people that work at these marketing companies, they're psychologists and they're neuroscientists. They're not marketers. They are advanced psychologists and neuroscientists. They are hacking your brain. Okay, so when you repeat something over and over and over, every single thing that is absorbed through your five senses creates a neural strand, creates a pathway. And when you make a decision, an impulse is going to go up your spine into your brain, and then it's going to travel down the biggest pathway. And you'll look at it and go, huh, and literally your brain won't see it. Like if you've never experienced brain blindness before, you probably have. It's like, when someone says, "Can you get me the salt?" Like, "I'm busy, I'm doing something." Can you just grab it for me? It's right in the cupboard. "I'm doing something. Please just go get it for me." They go, "Okay." And they open the cupboard and they're like, "I don't see it anywhere." And the person goes, "Right in front of you?" Like, or, "Oh shit." Like, when your brain doesn't want to see something, it won't. And so this is why consistency of content is so important, because if you're not consistent and programming your ideas into the minds of your customers, then somebody else is doing that and they won't come to you. If you're posting once a month, once a year, you're not doing nothing. I'd rather post every day and be consistent and show up every day, because then people come to me and they go, "Beau, I want to work with you. I don't know why. I just felt the need to work with you. Something's different about you." I say, "I know exactly why. Let me show you what I did." Right? So that's a huge, huge thing. And again, emotional content, not being like, crying every day, but like just anything that makes you laugh, makes you smile, makes you go like, whoa, like that type of stuff. Like my mom for a long time was like calling me every day, like, "Beau, are you okay?" Like, she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Mom," like I explained to her the formula. And now people call her, like, "What's wrong with Beau? Is he okay?" My mom's like, "It's what he does. Just leave it alone. Like, he's fine. He's just acting, like," and but that's what I do, right? So, but again, I'm and the emotions that you're trying to target, guys, if you're really wanting to make a sale, is very simple. Think about, what does someone feel before, during, and after making a purchase of your product or service, right? Because when you're creating habits, right, and a lot of the science around habits, they have 3 different sections of habits. Most people see habits as 2 things. They see it as behavior and reward. I'm going to smoke so I feel good. I'm going to smoke so I feel relaxed. Behavior, reward. If you see your habits in that way also, it's very hard to change them. Real habits are trigger, behavior, reward. So everything that happens is a trigger that makes you want the reward, and then you act in the behavior. And so the before, during, and after emotions are the trigger, behavior, and reward. And so really what you're trying to do with people is you're trying to evoke that same emotion that they would feel before. He's like, "Let me hit this vape real quick." You're trying to evoke that same emotion of the before, evoke that same emotion of the during, and evoke that same emotion of the after without actually saying it, right? So like, if I look at this picture of Muhammad Ali right here, I'm going to feel a certain way when I look at that. It's going to give me an emotion without actually having to say it. Right? That probably would be an after emotion that I'm looking for just by looking at that, right? Because it's like, what do I want to feel? I want to feel inspired. I want to feel the greatest. I want to feel motivated, right? And so that's sort of that after emotion. And fitness people do this like kind of the worst, where fitness people will have like the during and the after really well. They'll say like, oh, like you want to be like me, you want to have 6-pack, you want to be strong, you need to do these behaviors, you need to do these workouts, you need to do all this stuff that I do. But then a lot of people will look at that and they'll go, that's great. You're doing all that stuff, but you don't know where I'm starting from, right? Imagine if you called me the other day, the next tomorrow, and you were like, I want to get to Much Music. I know this is a terrible example because it's across the street, but I want to get to Much Music. How do I get there? And I don't even ask you where you are. I go, just go left, right, left, right, left, right. They're like, don't you want to know where I'm starting from? I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Just go left, right. They'd be like, okay, I'm not listening to this person, right? You can't give someone a roadmap if you don't know where they're starting from. And so the trick is in marketing is that if you can articulate a person's problem better than they can, they will automatically assume you have the solution. So all you have to do is articulate where they're at really well, be clear about the emotion that you want them to get to, and then show them that you are the bridge to create that gap, to fill that gap, and then they'll want to hire you. I've had people reach out to me and go, Beau, I want to work with you. I go, great, what did you have in mind? They go, well, what do you do? I was like, you want to work with me? You don't even know what I do? I was like, but that's great emotional marketing, right? And so that's what a lot of these companies are doing. If you can, when all this stuff started happening in the news 2 years ago, I started to freak out because I was like, this looks a lot like a marketing campaign. I was like, they're repeating an emotion over and over and over. And they're trying to hijack your emotions and repeat it over and over on every news platform. Right? People think that, it's true because they saw something more than once. The reality is that great advertisers, we do rollouts. And so we're going to make it seem like our idea is coming from thousands of people. We used to be doing like plans where we would actually open up like 1,000 accounts at once. And we'd have like, 100 phones, and each of them had like 10 accounts on it. And then we could literally like manage all the accounts through softwares and then target one hashtag community or one community on Instagram and like have 1,000 people basically like individually following all these people and then making you all think like, oh, wow, all of a sudden, did you hear about this new artist, the new person? Like, yeah, I heard it from everywhere lately. It's like, it was actually all one person managing all that whole thing. And we're like, and we're repeating it over and over and over, using emotional content to hijack your brain and to make you think that, oh, this is real, right? So the reason why I tell people this formula of influence equals repetition multiplied by emotion over time is because now you can actually start making different choices in your life. So when you go to the grocery store, you say, am I buying the best product here? Or am I buying the product that my mother and my father have given me so many times when I was a kid, so now that's what I buy? So now when I go to the grocery store, I go, I'm going to, and you guys, even if I tell you this, you go, I'm going to do what Beau said. And then you get there and you go, yeah, that one looks good. That's the one I'll get. And you got the one that your mom and dad get. Because you're like, because your mind will say one thing, your body will do another, right? So that's how these media organizations are able to really hack that and control your actions despite what your mind thinks, right? So anyways, that is the formula for influence. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about TikTok because TikTok is fucking awesome. Like, and I've been able to get some crazy traction with it over the last couple months. Traction that I never received from Instagram. Like when I was first doing Instagram, I was using like following bots and stuff like that to follow people that were in my target community. And then as the more people I would follow in my target community, the more I would get in front of people. And if they liked my stuff, they would follow me back. So I met a lot of people through that because I was also being really social. I was talking to the people that were coming in. I wasn't just following for the follow back. I was like genuinely trying to get people that I, build relationships. And that grew me really fast, but then they stopped allowing you to do that. And so I didn't take a break from social media, but I just kind of like fell back from the growth. But TikTok, when TikTok came out, I remember this one girl showed me this thing. She's like, yeah, I got like 1 million views on this video. And I was like, you got 1 million views? Like, what did you do? She's like, oh, it was me and my dog. And I was like showing me this thing. I was like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Because this girl's like doesn't care about social media at all. And then I saw this other dude who's like, yeah, I went viral on TikTok a couple times. And I was like, this dude? And I was like, fuck. what am I doing? Like, I got to get on this, you know? So I started asking people, and that's what I always do too, is like, I always like to ask people who are successful around something. And like, you try to ask like, you know, a bunch of people who never done nothing, they're not going to give you any advice. So here's the trick to hacking any social media platform. If you want to know like how the algorithm works, you have to understand these guys are collecting hundreds, if not thousands of data points. Okay. So like if you're on your phone and you like, if you're looking at it versus not looking at it, they're tracking. If you're scrolling versus not scrolling, what you're scrolling on, what part your eye focuses on, how long you're scrolling, how long you're moving, every tiny thing that you do, even that you're not even doing, that you're just associated with someone who's doing something, they're tracking everything. But what they give you in terms of insights are very small. What they give you in insights is what they want you to care about. And so they're going to give it to you. If you check your insights on any platform, what they're going to do is they're going to give it to you in the order of importance. So with TikTok, the first thing you're going to see is like watch time. They want to know how long are you keeping people glued into the videos. They also want to know how many videos. They'll say, oh, you posted this many videos this week. You posted, that was 3 less than last week. Because the amount of videos you post per week matter, right? Replay videos, how much your videos get replayed, that matters. Comments matters. Shares matters. The secret behind TikTok is right in the name. TikTok. How much time you're keeping people locked in. So anything that you do to get people in, if like when people are sharing your stuff, it brings people in. People are watching it. And the longer they're watching it, the more TikTok will drive your stuff up in the algorithm. So I'm going to give you guys the formula that I used for my last, like most recent, like viral video that like went to like 600,000 views and fucking like blew up on a cup. It actually got me like hundreds of Instagram followers too, because a bunch of people saw it from TikTok, put it up on there. I've had a bunch of stuff from my TikTok, literally just people pick it up. And I've been on other videos where it's like, you know, my video's on a video that has like 100,000 views on YouTube and like crazy shit. I'll be like walking down the street and like wake them up. And like, so that hook is that like, hey, like, and you're like, wake up. You're like, I'm going to get your attention. Okay. So that's hook number one. Hook number two is basically saying like, hook number one is I got your attention. Hook number two is here's why I have your attention. Because now I'm going to explain to you like what you're about to see. Right. That's really important too, because especially if you're going to go into something a little bit longer, then you need to have like, you need to kind of like let them know like what they're about to watch so that they stick around, right? Then you want to start, part number three is giving them the real value, like actually locking in and giving them the real value of what they're looking to see and not just clickbaiting them, right? And then the last part would be, and also too, while you're giving them that value, try to like reset their attention several times and be like, hey, if you're still watching, hey, keep watching. So I'm about to say like, you know, making multiple cuts in the clips too really helps. And then at the end, you want to give a call to action of some kind for some kind of engagement. So usually what I'll say is, hey, follow me for more of this. Follow me for part 2. Follow me for more me being me. You know, follow me for more of whatever this is. You know, I'll literally say that. And that process alone got me 600,000 views on that one video. I made a part 2. It got 200,000 views on the next video. And then I made a part 3 that got like 15,000 views. Right. And that got me 30,000 followers in 5 days. So, because I said, follow me for more. So, and I went from 30,000 to 60,000 in 5 days. Right. So it works pretty well. There's a bunch of different things you can do on TikTok too, but the main thing is just do it. Like, make more videos, do it more consistently, because you're gonna fuck up a bunch. But if you're having fun with it, that's also the important part, you know. Okay, so I guess I can like open it up for questions too now, because there's a bunch of things I can talk about, but I want to make sure I'm kind of like answering your specific questions. So I don't know if you guys have anything you want to ask.
With TikTok, does it matter the length of the videos? So for example, like a 1 minute video, will that get more traction or less traction than something that's like 15 seconds?
No. So that doesn't matter. More so, what matters is how the percentage of watch time on that video. So if you have a 15-second video and people only watch it for 1 second, it is going to get less views than a 3-minute video that people watch for 2.5 minutes, right? So it's more so the percentage of the video that people are watching and staying tuned into. And I would even go as far as saying, like, if you make a 3-minute video and people are really engaged in it, it'll actually probably get more traction than a 15-second one, because to TikTok, they're saying this person's keeping people really locked into the platform, right? But replay videos are really good too. That's why I make like videos where I'll put like a text, and let's see here. I'll put like a long text with like, let's say like a 7-second video. And then that way when they're watching, they're reading the text, and then they kind of look at the back of the video to see what is he talking about. By the time that they've done that, it's already on its replay, right? So I just did the one of this right on the way here. Like, it says, when you've been listening to the same song for years and you finally realize you've been singing the wrong words this whole time. You know, that for me, any Mace song will do that for me. I'm like, oh, I thought I was saying minions. This is like millions. Damn it. Like,
Now they're forced to go back and watch the beginning to see what they missed.
yeah, that's really key. If you can make even videos that, like, you know, creatively speaking from your guys' point of view, you can make videos that like that loop. So like they'll be like, so I can't think of an example right now, but it's like, okay, you start off the video where the beginning of the video is actually the end of the end video, so that by the time it loops around and they're like, they don't realize that they've actually watched the same video, you know, 3 or 4 times. Like, hey, I'm in a loop, like, you know.
Childish Gambino has a video like that where he walks into the restaurant, and every time he walks into the restaurant, it's more Childish Gambino. Like it just escalates and escalates and escalates, and he just ends up walking into the restaurant over and over and over again. You have to watch it.
Yeah.
From the start.
It was like those videos where the captions like, wait till the end of this video.
Yeah.
Watch the video like 4 times.
Well, that's what I this is the other thing too. So I have this is one of my favorite videos. One of my favorite videos is where, and I always say this too, like, you don't always have to create content. You can create content, you can curate content, so pulling content from other people's pages, and you can document. The more you document, like, life is content. If you're capturing more of it, you guys probably know this very well. If you capture more of it, you're going to get more of it. So this is me just capturing stuff, and I accidentally caught like the best shit ever, and then in the beginning of the video I said, wait till the end. Trust me, you're gonna like want to see it. So
I really forgot how many people actually lived in Toronto, and I used to be like anti-lockdown, but now I'm super pro-lockdown. I wish everyone would go back inside. I really forgot how
I was about to say I wish everyone would go back inside, and then he's like, you're, you know, like,
It's funny.
There we go.
I seen that after I originally DM'd you on Instagram, maybe like a couple days later, I think it was. I was scrolling the For You page on TikTok and you popped up. And I see
Nice,
that.
yeah.
Exactly where it was.
Oh, no way. Nice. Yeah, that's the thing, man. And like, in terms of like the For You page, what you have to remember too is that like every single tiny thing that you do while you're on that platform is tracked and designed to help them distribute your content to somebody who's perfectly matched for that. So even when you're using hashtags, right? People think they need to just fill it with as many hashtags as they can fit. It's not the case. Think about like hashtags like you're writing a letter. Your content is the letter, the hashtags are the address, right? So imagine if you put like 100 addresses on a letter and then you just shipped it out. The mailbox guy would be, the post office guy would be like, where do I send this? I don't know, this is going nowhere, right? Or if you just put Canada, they'd be like, all right, like, I guess I'll just, someone from Canada will get it. Like, no, you got to be pretty specific. So like, think about like, who would see this piece of content and absolutely love it, you know? And then you know, if you're going to put hashtags together, make sure all the hashtags that you're putting together are a part of the same niche group, right? Because one time I put like, something I was talking about, like they should do a contest, like a game show or something like that, where they have white people try to guess Mace and Sean Paul lyrics. And then the winner gets $1 million, and then spoiler alert, no one ever wins, right? I put like Sean Paul, hashtag Mace, hashtag like Family Feud, hashtag game show or something like that. So it went nowhere because no one fits all the game show, the Sean Paul, like it's going nowhere. Those don't mix, right? But I had a video where I was talking about like, you know, being organic or whatever, and I put hashtag organic, hashtag non-GMO, hashtag USDA organic, hashtag organic food, and then all of that just went super viral, right? Because all of those hashtags met the same criteria of person, right? Yeah, did that answer your question? Right? Was that anyone's question? I don't know.
The question was, but
YouTube?
And because you touched on hashtagging, right? I know YouTube has a different set of hashtagging that they want for their videos to get pushed up to audiences, in comparison to like a TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah.
Can you speak to an example or the different types of hashtagging that different social media platforms would expect? And maybe a little bit why?
Yeah, so I think with Instagram, again, I think it's the same concept overall. With YouTube, it's more set up like a search engine like optimization, right? So you're dealing with like more like meta tags and stuff like that of what people would be searching up. Same thing with hashtags to some degree, but when you're dealing with hashtags on Instagram or TikTok, it's a little bit different because people aren't like searching on Instagram and TikTok the way that they are on YouTube, right? So on YouTube, the tags would be like something that people would be actually looking up. With Instagram and TikTok, the purpose of putting the hashtags is to try to get it to go viral, and that's what gets you the extra traction. And so really the purpose of the hashtags on TikTok and Instagram are to create this like ideal customer avatar that you're like trying to like make a person, like a story out of a person, and then you want it to go to that particular person, right? So that's kind of how you would be a little bit different. Like with YouTube, you put like how to do X, Y, Z, or whatever someone would be actually searching. Unless you're doing like an event and you want all the people at that event to communicate with each other, then you can say, hey, everybody, use this thing called the Visionary Arts Center 2022, and then everyone that's going in and looking that up can see it. But most of the time what people do is they'll put a hashtag of like their own hashtag. Like it's like me putting like hashtag Beau Pinto. No one's looking up Beau Pinto. I wish they were, but they're not. No. And if they are, they're looking for my profile. They're not looking for the hashtag of all the Beau Pinto things, right? But people get in this idea that if I got to make my own hashtag, no, you don't.
People, when it comes to that, you become a hashtag when your influence grows.
Yeah.
Using you as a hashtag.
Exactly. Yeah. So you put hashtag Drake or hashtag whatever. Yeah, then you become a hashtag. Yeah. Exactly. That's very true. And then when you're starting off, like you kind of want to like, what I like to do is just to like find trends and ride waves of those trends. Also with TikTok too, it's really important that you're having like original content. So you can ride trends and stuff like that. But if you're like posting something that's so similar to what everyone else is doing, TikTok's not going to push you up, right? So one person I always recommend to follow is Sean VV. It's SEANVV. This guy literally goes on and reads the terms of service on TikTok, and then he like explains it to you in summary, so that you know like legitimately what the actual algorithm is all about, right? But there's all kinds of trending sounds and stuff that you could do. As long as this sounds like, if you're just lip syncing a trending sound and it's not creative in any way, then it's going to go nowhere.
Did you say Sean?
Sean, SEANVV. He reads the TikTok terms of agreements. He also has on his profile like a list of the banned hashtags. You need to know the banned hashtags of every single thing, because you don't know, like hashtag beauty blogger is banned on Instagram. You put hashtag beauty blogger, your thing's not getting seen by anyone. right? Hashtag desk is banned on Instagram. I don't know why. It just is. Hashtag desk, hashtag Skype, right? Anything that's really kind of connected with any type of like sexuality or anything like that. TikTok, you can swear and you can do kind of like weird stuff, but it's trickier when you don't have an audience already, because if they're going to put you on the For You page, they know that there's kids on there and stuff like that too, so they're going to try to avoid sharing it with kids. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, original content is a lot better. And if you go on to the search section of TikTok and you just type in trend alert, you're going to have a bunch of marketers that are all just giving you like all the top trends. So like I follow a bunch of marketers and I just like watch what they tell me. So it's basically hiring them where they're just constantly sharing good information with me. And then I'll do like sounds, I'll save the sounds and make videos out of that.
Or even something like how to get your, kind of like what you do, how to move your camera to kind of get certain effects.
Yeah.
All those kind of information.
Informational stuff. Yeah, informational stuff and educational stuff will always be successful. Like if you can do informational stuff, especially with you guys, if you're doing like videos saying like, hey, here's 3 quick tips that you can do to have better shots, right? They're not going to go and do the shots. I mean, maybe they will, but most of the time they're going to say like, how do I hire this guy to do it? Because he knows what he's talking about, right? And those videos go viral very fast, right? Like the video that got me 600,000 views, it was me telling people about like a thing in a book that I read that I thought was really helpful and valuable, right? And if you go in with that mindset of like helping people, being of service, it really, really helps. Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding Instagram.
Sure.
So we all know Instagram's algorithm is horrible. So let's say normally your stories get the most interaction. So let's say normally your stories are like 5,000 to 6,000 people watch your shit. But then just out of nowhere you're getting like 200 to 300, and then maybe like the next day you're getting back to like 1,000, 1,500. Like it's just bouncing.
Yeah.
How do we fix that?
So there's no fixing that. And the reason why is because they do that on purpose. So like I said, at these big companies, they don't have just like marketers working there. They have neuroscientists and psychologists that are like, the idea of like quote unquote brainwashing, that's not a joke. That's like something that they actually do to military people. It's something that they've been doing for years. They called it propaganda back in the day. Now they call it PR. Okay, so it was founded by a guy named Edward Bernays, who was a relative of Sigmund Freud, I believe. And this science is over 100 years old. Okay, so it's not like, it's very serious. So the studies that they did, basically, they did it with rats. Okay, and basically what happened was they gave rats like a button to press, and if they pressed the button, it would release this like cocaine, basically, right? So the rats would click the button, they would get cocaine. It would stimulate them. And then they would do it for a while. So every time the rats would press the button, they would keep going back and getting it. And then what they did was they removed the cocaine, but left the button there. The rats would come and press the button, no cocaine. Press the button, no cocaine. Press the button, no cocaine. But they'd want it, so they keep pressing it, right? Now, they did one test where they just basically like took it away. And so the rats would keep pressing it. Eventually they go, it's not coming out. We're going to stop, right? But then they did another test where they didn't give it to them once, but then they would give it to them like every other time. And so then they would keep pressing it. But again, they weren't like as like voracious about it. The third time they did it where they gave it to them not just every other time, but like totally random times. So they'd say like, okay, like we're going to stop you from having it. So it'd be like, okay, it's not working now, but then every 3 times, and then every 5 times, and then maybe every other time. And then it would wait 10 times and they would give it to them randomly. And it got to the point where these rats would keep pressing the button so many times where once they randomized it, they even started adding shocks to the button. So when the rats would go and press the button, it would shock them and hurt them. And they would do it until they died. Because once they randomized it, the rats didn't know when it was going to come. They didn't care as long as it was at one. They thought it could be at any point now. And even though it's hurting me now, I will do it. They did it until death. Okay, so they do the same thing with engagement. They give you engagement, they flood you with engagement, and then periodically they will remove it so that it creates the subdiction, which fuels the addiction, right? You can't have an addiction without a subdiction. An addiction is an extreme fulfillment, and a subdiction is an extreme lack. So they create the extreme lack so that you need the extreme fulfillment. And then you go, I have no friends, no one likes me, blah, 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 blah. And then they give it to you again, and you go, oh, and you get high again, right? And then now it's so random, you don't know when it's going to do it. So you got to keep posting. And that's how they keep people locked into the platform. So you have to, when you see that, just be like those motherfuckers, right? And just keep posting them. Don't panic. Don't let it get to you, because that they are doing that on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm like, yo, am I shadow banned again? Like, should I not? Like, should I
Yeah.
I post crazy stuff sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Or like doing stuff with like Brown Guy or TK, like where you're making like really epic videos. I also obviously highly recommend those too. I love doing videos like that because they're, you know, amazing for your brand and they make you look awesome, you know. But for me, on my day-to-day basis, when I'm just marketing myself, what I do is I start off on TikTok. So one thing I do every single day is I'm always, if I have an idea, I write down my video idea right away. I don't wait. I don't, I'll write it down there. No, I have a whole thing on my phone. If you guys see here, I have my notes right there ready to go. And video ideas just all up there. These are all different videos. Some of them never come out. But a lot of them are there because, and I'll tell you what, my best video ideas come to me 8 minutes after I've gone to bed. It's like when I'm in that theta wave brain state, right, where I'm half asleep, half awake, and I'm tapping into infinite intelligence and source. Like, I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And I go,
Yeah.
done, right?
Like, I just want to go to sleep.
You know? But that's the thing. That's where, when I have a video idea, I'm usually not ready to make a video. And so a lot of people do, they go, oh, I want to make a video, I'm ready, and they have no ideas, right? So I have that list of ideas always, and I'm always stacking them up. So that when I'm ready, and for me, when I'm ready is there's good lighting, sunlight outside, right? If I've shaved, right? If I've showered, if my hair doesn't look like it's totally crazy, right? Which is not most of the time, right? So I need to have like a set time where I make videos, which is usually around like 12 o'clock after I've had breakfast, all that stuff, right? And I'm ready to make a video. And so having those ideas written down is first thing. Now I just write the idea down. I don't write the whole script. What I do basically is that then I take TikTok out, I open it up, and I think about like the general idea of it. I go, okay, what would be the first thing that I say? And I think of the first line, and then I record the first line. I go, blah, 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 and I let go. So it's kind of like a walkie-talkie where you hold what you're recording, you let go when you stop. So I record the first part. I go, blah, 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 blah. I go, okay, what's the second line? The second line would be like, I go, okay, da 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 da. Right? Well, what's the third line? I write the third line. And again, I might even mess it up. So if I mess it up there, I just delete that last clip. Re-record. One big thing about me is if I fuck up fast. So I'll delete and re-record, delete, re-record. I'll delete and re-record faster than like so many times. Like I'll do it like 20 times in a row. You just have to fuck up fast. Don't let it get caught in your head like, oh, I suck at this. I'm so bad. I can't get this on the right take. Just shut up and do it again. Shut up and do it again. Do it again. Do it again. If you are fucking up so many times in a row, take a deep breath in, go, and then and blow out really fast. Because what's happening is most likely you're holding your breath. Now that you're getting panicked, you're not breathing, you're holding your breath, and you're like, you're not even getting oxygen to your brain, and you're building up carbon dioxide. So breathe, take a deep breath in, and all the way out, and then film. And I'm telling you, like, oh shit, that was so much easier. Like, yeah, because you had no oxygen in your brain. So again, I fuck up fast. I record, boom, 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 boom. By the time I'm done technically writing the video, because I write it line by line, I'm done filming the video, right? And so now, and people watch the video, they go, how did you edit that? All those cuts, that must have taken forever. It's like, no, I did the cuts like while I was writing the line. The reason why I started doing this was because my ADD is so bad that I literally like couldn't remember more than one line at a time. So I would just film one sentence. I go, blah, blah, blah. And I go, okay, what's the next one? Okay. I can remember one sentence at a time. That I can do sometimes. Right. But then I, again, just doing it. And then by the time it's done, so with TikTok, I've filmed, I've written, filmed, edited. And then by the time I'm done, I hit send. I've now promoted all in one shot. And I can do that. And like what I'll even do is do like little like challenges for myself. If I have 10 minutes before a meeting, I go, I wonder if I can whip up this TikTok in 10 minutes. Right? Because a lot of people waste way too much time doing it. Right? So I'm like, let me see if I can get it done in 10 minutes. If I don't, whatever, I'll finish it after the call. But I'm going to try to. Right? And set that goal for yourself. And then what I do is once the TikTok is made, I have apps that you can get. I think you have to pay for the app on iPhone. But on Android, there's an app called like TikTok Downloader. And once the video is done there, I download it without the watermark because remember that these companies are competing with each other, right? So if they see the watermark or even if TikTok sees Instagram captions on TikTok, they will limit it. So when you can put captions on TikTok and still download it without the captions being on the video. So I start on TikTok, I pull it over, I download it, throw it onto Instagram, and now I put the Instagram captions with Instagram's captions. TikTok has its own captions. And I've made one video and now I'm just like, boom, boom, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, like everywhere. And the other thing too is like, when you're on Instagram, people on Instagram know you, right? There's some that are going to be new people, some that are going to be people that know you, right? If you make content for people that know you, it's very different than people that don't know you. The biggest tip I can give you for TikTok is that no one gives a shit about you. And if you just accept that, then you can make content that'll capture their attention. And if you make content that can capture a stranger's attention and then you put it on Instagram, it will capture your friend's attention for sure, right? So TikTok, that's why I start there because it's translatable to everything else versus Instagram is not necessarily translatable to everything else. So I make it there. And then, like I said, I make one video and I'm omnipresent by the end of the hour, right? Like Santa Claus, I'm everywhere. In one day. My friend said to me the other day, he's like, my friends are always like reposting your stuff. And he goes, and I'll be like, oh, I know that guy. And they're like, you know him? He's like, yeah, we're super cool. And we are super cool. So he can say that, right? But he's like, does that ever make you feel weird? I was like, no, because like I do it so intentionally, like when I post something, I like in my mind, I can visually through my third eye, I can see the echo of my influence. I can see the ripples and the waves that get created from one or two posts and how that can be shared. And, the other thing I want to mention too is just about like, once you start doing that, there's a lot, like I get a lot of hate messages and shit talking on my TikTok, especially, and I got to tell you guys, if I had a nickel for every person that threatened me or talked shit to me on TikTok, on Instagram and then did it in person, I'd have 0 nickels. I'm not kidding. I'd have 0 nickels. If I had a couple bucks for every time I saw someone from TikTok or Instagram was like, yo, what's up? I'd have a couple nickels. But I don't have any I'm not proud of that either, right? That's bad behavior. But I've literally said to people in real life, yo, say that shit you were saying online. What's up? And they're like, literally nothing. Literally just nothing. And I was like, all right, that's what I thought, So don't be afraid for your safety. If they're talking shit online, they're not going to do nothing to you in real life. That's not the real gangsters aren't in there, typing some stuff out there like, oh, this I'm gonna get you. Like, no, they're out there. They're doing real stuff, right? Okay. And the second thing is about taking things personal, because what you have to remember is that you have no idea what's going on the other end of someone's screen. Right? If someone's on the other end of this, I've had people that are like, oh, you're not even funny and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I really don't know if their mom just passed away. I don't know if they just got divorced. I don't know what's going on with them. Right? So I had one guy that was like, I keep getting the Logic comparison. It's so annoying, but I made this video where I was doing a rap or whatever. And then the guy's like, oh, you sound so much like Logic. This is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And so I messaged him. Again, I don't know what's going on with him on the other side, so I don't want to take it personal. So I messaged him. I just said, hey, man, just want to say Thank you so much for your feedback because, you know, my friends and family, I'm like, they're too nice to give me like, you know, the hard truth. So just want to say thank you for actually, you know, saying what you felt because it's really good feedback for me to take that and use it. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem, man. And he's like, yeah, you know, honestly, it wasn't even that bad. Like, it was just like, well, like, you know, so if, you know, kindness in response to these things is, you know, one of the best things you can do just for the community as a whole. And I was really inspired by your stuff about community too. That was really great. I appreciate that. Just want to say that. But again, you don't know what's going on with these people, so you can't take it personally, right? And the other element about taking it personally is like, if somebody says something really nice to you, they say, oh, you're the best, you're awesome. You still can't take it personally. You can say thank you, but you can't take it personally. Because if, you know what I'm saying? Because two things can happen. One, if someone says to me, Beau, you're the best. I go, you're right, I am the best. I don't have to improve at all anymore. Like, and then you stop doing anything because you're like, oh, I've made it. You know, like, no, I've got 20,000 followers. I haven't made shit. You know what I mean? Like I have some minor accomplishments, but I'm like, I still have so much more to grow because I'm alive. Okay. If you're alive, you have more to grow. Right. So the other element of it is that if someone says to you, yo, you're so dope. I love what you're doing. And then next week they decide they're having a bad day and they go, yo, you're a piece of shit. I shouldn't have ever rocked with you and blah, blah, blah. It's like, now you're going to take that personally too, because you took the good stuff personally. Right. So it's like, you got to just be so like, individualize that. Like if somebody is saying whatever, say, hey, thank you so much, I appreciate it. You also don't know, honestly, if you don't know if someone's saying something nice to you because they just want to get something from you, or they're trying to steal from you, or they're trying to whatever, right? So you got to be like kind of on it and be like, okay, thank you so much, I appreciate that, but I'm not like, I don't have to fall into your trap now or else I can't accept the compliment. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, oh, you're so amazing, you're so great, by the way, can you send me a few bucks? And you're like, oh, if I don't send him a few bucks now, you know, because he said like I was so great, like no, that has nothing to do with me. What anyone else thinks about you has nothing to do with you, nothing, right? I say I care what people think about me, but I don't care what people think about me. Like I take people's feedback. Like when someone said to me the other day, he's like, yo, you're not even funny. I was like, okay, well, I think I'm funny to myself, and that's my only goal. But I'm like, how can I improve my content to make it more engaging, make it more entertaining? Right? I was thinking about that. And then I also put in my bio, a kind of funny comedian, right? I was like, take that brick that he threw at me and start building my house with it. You know, like I'm a kind of funny comedian. And when people say, oh, you're hilarious. So I'm like, yeah, I'm medium funny, you know, like, and so that's what I rock with now. Like, so, you know, I think that's a really important part because that's really what will make you bulletproof. You know, again, that's the one gift I get from social media every day. And people say like, you know, are you rich? I say, you know, I make pretty good money, but I would say the one place that I'm insanely abundant and that I have all types of wealth that is the ability to not take anything personally. Like I've had family members, close family members of mine come to me and say, you're a piece of shit. You know, I'm going to fight you when I see you. I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll see you then. You know, like, and that's family members, you know, that like people that are so close to me, people saying, I'm never talking to you again. I was like, all right, cool. Right? So if you can get to that level where nobody can say anything to you as long as you in your heart are knowing you're doing the right thing, that's what's important. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, is this, like with these guys over here, what they're doing with the no violent records and all that is key, because at the end of the day, if they go and like take a couple $1,000 to make a violent record and somebody passes away, they can't go home and look at themselves in the mirror after that because they're like, fuck, this is messing me up. And they've been through this. They've experienced it. And so now a lot of their success is coming from the fact that what they do now is based around those values, right? Someone will say to me, Beau, I'm going to send you this free stuff. Can you promote it for me? I'm like, look, I would never pay for that, so I'm not going to take it. I don't take anything for promo if I'm not going to pay for it, because if I'm not going to pay for it, I won't be able to sell it. Right? So it's like, you know, having those things where you know in your heart you're always doing the right thing. And sometimes you got to like put certain opportunities aside and give up on certain things and sacrifice certain things. But at the end of the day, you're dying by yourself, and you need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, did I do the right thing? Am I on the right track? And again, you can take people's opinions as feedback, as reflection for yourself, but not necessarily to hold that as your truth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So I do have a question, and I guess just kind of more so around maybe balancing what personal things you're putting in your content, right? Putting it out there, but also dealing with how to manage your time around how much you are consuming or putting into some content you're making. So I think most people now are making content as personal, right? Even if it's a joke, usually something from someone's life or a friend's life. So I guess maybe some advice or tips about how to balance that. Should it be protected? Should you give your families a heads up depending on that story, what you did?
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer of like don't snitch on yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna do something illegal, don't tell Instagram. I'm not even gonna like drive and take videos of myself at the same time because you're breaking the law. Like when I see that, I'm like, yo, like I'm gonna call the police on you myself if I see one more Snapchat of you in your car with your handheld device. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not actually gonna do that. But everyone's looking at me like, how dare you? But no, like so that's a big thing too. Like if I know I see people all the time like, yo, if you want this drug or that drug, like hit me up. I'm like, bro, like, oh my god, you just like the police don't even leave the station anymore. They're just on the phone with the popcorn, just like, okay, like, okay, that's what you're doing. I'm like, all right, like, you know. So yeah, it's crazy, man.
A comedian, he's got the police in his DMs trying to.
Yeah, man.
Whatever the heck he posts.
Dude, it's
that don't overshare.
Yeah. You know, never take videos in front of your house where your address is there. Like, you know, even to identify what your house looks like. Like, if I'm gonna take a video outside my house, I go down the street at least, right? So like, yeah, like, and there's certain things that are private. You know what I mean? Like, but you gotta kind of find that balance, right? And in terms of like finding the balance, like work-wise, this is also why consistency is so important. Because like anything that you do consistently will turn into a habit. And a habit, again, is an unconscious behavior. We need habits to function in society. So like you built a habit learning how to walk. Imagine if you had to think about every step you took. You wouldn't be able to think about it. You'd be like, okay, 1, 2, like, and then somebody like, oh, you're good, like, huh? Whoa, like, you know, like, you gotta have habits because it creates unconscious behaviors for things that you need to do on autopilot, right? So what I do is I create habits around my social media posting. Like my habit is like the trigger, behavior, reward. My trigger is when I have a good idea, that's the trigger. The behavior is I write it down. The reward is like, okay, I have that for later. It's good to go. I can use that for another time, right? So creating habits around those social media stuff where I'm doing it so often, because the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. But also the more you do it without even thinking about it. And that's the key too, because people are like, how do you make so many videos? They're like, bro, it's probably harder for you to not make videos than it is to make videos. I'm like, yeah, because I've done it so many times that now it's like ingrained in me and I do it without even thinking about it. Some of my best videos or most successful videos are me just going like, oh, that's a good idea. I film it, I forget about it, and I move on. And then, boom, it's like, it just blows up. And I go, oh, shit, I totally forgot I made that video. Like, I'm not even thinking about it, and it grows, you know? So, yeah, that would be my thing. And also, too, being conscious of your screen time and stuff like that, checking your phone for how long you've been on a certain screen or whatever. But I forget who was saying it. I think it was Friday that was saying it. Like, if you're on your social media just consuming, like, get the fuck off of it. If I wasn't making money on social media, I wouldn't even be on there, honestly. Like, I'm only on there because I make money on there. If you're not on there making money, then, like, figure out a way to make money. That's how I started in social media, because I was on Twitter all day. And my mom was like, you need to get a job. I was like, this is my job. And I was like, I got to figure out a way to get this my job. Like, so that's how I started getting into doing, like, Twitter for people. And, like, but yeah, so now I do, like, I sell all kinds of stuff online. But I think Friday we were talking about it too, about like doing ads. So I do paid ads with people. A lot of times too, I'll like even like sell my own businesses through it, because when you sell your own businesses too, like if you do like an ad, you get paid one time. If you do an affiliate sale, you get paid one time, right? But you got to think about like the real echo of your influence, right? And you can have 100 followers and have a massive echo. Your network is not just how many followers you have. What you want to do is go into all of the people that follow you and add those numbers up. That's your network. Because once they see you, if they can repost you, that's your network, right? So my network might be 20,000 on there, but how big is it actually, right? And so one thing that I realized, because I started doing like multiple levels of affiliate sales. So like how the companies would track everything for me. So I would get one sale, and then if that person would like refer somebody else, they would track that sale. And if that person refers somebody else, they would track that sale. So I was able to like watch this whole thing like go down. And I did this with one company one time where it was like an entrepreneurship thing. And it was like you give away this free thing, and then they were going to give you like a percentage of the company. It was bullshit. It was basically like you had to end up paying after. I didn't do anything with it. Anyways, I gave it to like 40 of my friends. I gave it to them for free. In a week, I went back and it showed me like 4 levels down, like how many people had come from me. And it was already at like 350 people. I was like, oh man, like, I'm like, what if I did get involved in this? I was like, that would have been crazy. People don't see this. Like you wear that yellow bucket hat, right? It's a dope hat, right? You're welcome. You might leave and then I might go buy that hat. Or if I say to you, where'd you get that? You say it was like H&M or whatever, right? Where'd you get it?
Walmart. Someone actually asked me that.
There you go, right? And when they went to go to Walmart to buy it, right? Did you know if they bought it or not? You have no idea, right? When they buy that hat, Walmart will profit. When they put on that hat and someone asks them, where did you get it? They'll go, Walmart. That person will go back to Walmart. Will you know that that person got it? No. How many followers do you have online? On Instagram?
Business one is like 100 something, and then my personal is like 1,000.
Okay, right? So that's pretty standard and pretty average amount of followers, right? So you would think like, well, why would I need to get paid for this hat, right? I'm just, I only have 1,000 followers. Like,
I don't want to get paid.
no, but I'm just saying like, you wouldn't think about it, but most people would look at 1,000 followers and think, oh, that's not a lot, right? But you just told someone just asked you, where'd you get that hat? And you told them. You went to Walmart. They were probably going to go to Walmart and buy it. And that cycle is going to continue for as long as Walmart sells those hats, probably. So what I started doing was tracking every layer of my affiliate sales. And like, so I started eating these like organic superfoods. And last month, oh my God, I don't even know like how much. It's measured in points, okay? And we every point is like $1.50 of sales. Not myself personally, but myself and everyone that had came after me, because I've been doing this now for 2 years, okay? So when you track it for a long time, this shit gets fucking wild. Been doing it for 2 years. Last month, we got like 30,000 points. So God knows how many dollars that was actually equated to. And I get like 5% of everything 4 levels down. I get bonuses based on the number of points. I get all kinds of like income from these things coming in. So being able to track that, if I wasn't tracking that, I would have never have known. And this happens all the time where companies will explode from influencer growth and they'll have no idea that you're this little person who just, is whatever, is now responsible for them getting an extra $100,000 a year, right? And it could have just been because you said Walmart, right? You have no idea. So my point is, you track that stuff and remember that it doesn't matter how many followers you have, you are influential. If you are here and you interact with anybody, even the birds in the cabin in the woods, okay? I used to call my company Butterfly Influence because it was around the idea of the butterfly effect. The wind of a butterfly flapping its wings, that wind can turn into a tornado, right? And it's the same thing with your influence. You guys have that power off the smallest little things. You'd be so surprised. So
I can kind of speak to that, how I know both. It's kind of been through, keep kind of cycling back into life in different kind of ways. And it is based on an influence, right? It starts off very, very small. But I think also in this room, you can kind of speak to how meaningful connections are already happening in this room. We weren't aware of, right? The network is always bigger than action.
way bigger. And you got to kind of like step out and ask, right? Like I was talking to a friend the other day, and this is one thing I like to do now too, because being in the industry that I'm in, you really got to have influence with people to be able to like make sales, right? And so sometimes when I don't have influence with someone, I'll go talk to their friend who has influence, kind of like what you were saying, right? And so I reached out to this one person about my sister's coffee business, because she owns a coffee business, and we're trying to do some sales with that. So I said like, okay, like I reached out to this wedding planner and I said, hey, you got to check out this coffee. I reached out to probably about like 20 of them, and one responded. And so I found her Instagram and I started looking at, okay, who do we all know? I was like, we both know this one girl that I went to high school with. So I messaged that girl I went to high school with and said, how do you know her? She's like, oh, I worked with her before. I said, great. So I messaged that other girl back. I was like, hey, I also work with I also know this girl. How do you know her? And so now we're building relationships. I'm leveraging that influence. And then when I talked to her, that other girl, she was like, oh, by the way, because I work with those people, I also have maybe 10 other companies I'd love to send you that I think would be really good for this. I was like, great. And now I'm going to send all of those companies emails saying referral from blah, 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 blah. Right? You'd be surprised, man, how everything's connected. There's people I was working with a gym. It's a boxing gym. And I've been prospecting them for 2 years. And I went up to this gym and I was like, yo, you guys got to, sign up with me. And they're like, well, think about it. Anyways, I come back to them again. I'm like, yo, what do you think about this, putting our superfoods in your gym? And they're like, yeah, this other girl came and talked to us about it. So who's the girl? She's like, this girl named Robin. I was like,
Gotcha.
I'm like, Robin's on my team. I'm like, and Robin's 6 levels down into my organization of someone that I had never met before. I said, so if you don't sign up with me today, everyone in this gym is going to be on my team, whether you like it or not. Because obviously, as you can see, I'm already infiltrating your gym. Right? I'm like, and so being able to track that is wild, because it's like, oh, I would have never even known that person bought that stuff because of me. And that's the wildest thing too, because I see people now, especially in my industry, where it's health foods and superfoods and everything's organic. So people are getting really healthy and stuff. And I see people getting off their diabetes medication and stuff like that, because they started taking these organic superfoods. And I think to myself, holy shit, that person who just got off her diabetes medication found out about this because I introduced these superfoods to my partner, who's who's a holistic nutritionist. She introduced it to her friend who's a nurse, who introduced it to her friend who's a personal trainer, who introduced it to her friend who now had diabetes, right? And so this was 2 years ago I started, because I was malnourished, I was struggling. So I was like, if I can just, is this Zombies by Cranberry? That's hard. Hashtag 90s. But if I was it's wild to see holy shit, if I never made that one decision 2 years ago to message my buddy and be like, yo, what do you think I should eat? He's like, yo, try this. I was like, all right. If I didn't do that one thing, 2 years later, she may have still been on her diabetes medication. It's crazy shit too, where with networking, right? I always tell people, when you're networking, you're talking to people, always put other people's best interests first. Because I have this thing where I say I can make a sale every time I talk to somebody. How do you make a sale every time? How's that possible? It's very simple. Because sales is a service industry. It's like being a waiter. If you can help someone or serve them when you're talking to them, you've made a sale, right? So what I like to do is when I'm talking to somebody, first thing I do is I say, especially if I'm messaging them online, I'll say, hey, John, hey, Cindy, hey, Eric. And then I'll send a separate message. I like to send 3 messages kind of in a row, so they know I'm not a robot and that they're saying something very specific. So I'll be like, hey, John, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the whatever, And then I'll say something very specific about their account. I noticed that you have this, dog on your account or whatever. I thought that dog was really cool. Or I noticed that you do this. That's really awesome. So that, again, they know I'm not a robot. And then I'll say something so, just curious, what's your focus right now? And I love asking people that question, what's your focus right now? Because no one knows how to answer it. Because most people, they're in a sleep mode, right? They just say things habitually. So if you say, how are you? They go, I'm good, right? Can I help you with anything today? I'm just looking, right? And they're on automatic, right? So I try to wake people up by breaking patterns and say, what's your focus right now? And they go, it's my focus. And then what they'll do is, because they don't know how to answer that question, they'll just tell you whatever they want to talk about. And that's what I want them to talk about. I want them to tell me what their focus is, what they're paying attention to, what's important to them. And so when I say, what's your focus? They go, my focus right now is blah, blah, blah. And then if someone says to me, like, my focus right now is my basement's flooding, right? I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I'll talk to you later then, right? You don't want to talk to them when they're like because again, you don't know what's happening on the other side of the screen, so they could be anywhere. So that's one major thing. The first thing I try to do though is I try to help them with my business, right? So if they say, Beau, right now I'm trying to get healthy, I'm trying to maybe, or even build a side income with like, whatever, I might be like, oh, I can help you with that. If someone says to you like, oh, I'm trying to make a video right now for my music. If you didn't tell them what you do, that would be selfish because you have the solution, right? So you want to be like, okay, here it is. Now, the key is if you can't help them with your business, what do most people do? They go, okay, I don't want to talk to this person, right? But then you've lost the sale, right? Refer somebody, exactly. If you can't help them with that, refer them to somebody because then either you're securing a financial transaction by closing a deal or you're securing a future referral from either that person or by getting a valuable contact from that other person who you just referred to. Now, the last part, this is where most people kind of, again, throw it out the drain. They say, I can't find them business. I can't get them a referral. What do? Be kind. Because if you're kind, then you got to think like, what makes a network? There's nothing physical holding a network together. A network is really just a series of harmonious relationships attached to you. So if you can be kind and supportive and encouraging, then you've added someone to your network. And by adding someone to your network, you have a new ambassador, and that's making a potential future sale from that, right? So you either help someone with your business, you help someone with their with a referral, or you help someone by being kind and supportive. And so what I do again is I ask, what's your focus? So that I can qualify them as a person, see where they need help. And then I'll do this thing called parroting as well. So if someone says to me like, oh, my focus right now is I'm going to school. I literally just take the most important word that they said and I say it back to them with a question. Because people always ask me like, what do I say when I'm in the DMs? I'm like, you don't say anything. You just let them talk. So what I'll do is they'll say like, oh, I'm going to school right now. And I say, school? They go, yeah, I'm going to school for kinesiology because I've always wanted to be a doctor and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you've always wanted to be a doctor? They go, yeah, because, blah, 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 because my father was always like that. Your father was always like that, eh? Like, yeah, because, like, literally people just talk to themselves. All you have to do is repeat back to them the most important word from the paragraph, and they'll just go on and on and on until they realize, oh, shit, I just told this person my life story. What do you do, right? Now that I'm ready to tell them what I do, I already know everything about them. I know what's important to them. I know whether or not they'd be a good client or not. I know who to refer them to. So I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I help students who are in school right now, like build part-time incomes, right? Versus just saying, oh, I help people, with superfoods. They don't care, right? But if they know, they just told me that they're all in school and I help students build part-time incomes. They go, oh shit, I need that. I go, I know you do. You just told me, right? So you can like qualify them a lot better, right? And that's basically how I, have built my entire network of just always putting people's best interests first. And you got to play the long-term game too, right? Because I've had situations where people ask me a question and I have nothing to gain from it, right? Like they'll just be like, I'm going through a hard time right now. I don't know what to do. Anyways, I was doing a workshop just like this. And this dude puts up his hand and he's like, yeah, man, like, what you're saying is true. That's actually how I met you. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, when I was in grade 9, he's like, I messaged you on Twitter and he's like, you recommended this book to me because I was going through a hard time. He said, you recommended the book, The Alchemist, because it changed my life, man. I was like, that's awesome, bro. Thank you. And he's like, and I'm like, how old are you now? He's like, I'm 23. I said, I'm like, so that was 9 years ago. Like 9 years ago. I'm like, when was the last time we talked since? He said, that was the last time we talked. I said, so 9 years ago, I said one thing to you to help you, and you're in the chair today at my workshop. He's like, yes. And I was like, drop the mic. I'm like, thank you, everyone. That's my talk. Like, because that's the thing. Like, and afterwards, after that talk, another person literally came up and said the exact same thing. Like, yeah, I've known you for 9 years. And that's why I came, And so it's wild. You don't know when someone is going to be valuable for you. But if you always put their best interest first, and you always, when they talk to you, the thing is too, they're going to trust you way more. So if someone says to you, like, someone comes to you guys and says, like, I need a video done, right? And they say, well, you say, like, well, what's your budget? And they say, like, I don't really have a budget right now. I just want something quick for this, blah, blah, blah. And you might say, you know what? Honestly, you could come to me, or you can make this video for yourself with your phone. It'll take you turn. It's like, use this little thing on this app. I know it's not going to be the same, but like, this is something you could do. And, you know, take 5 minutes to explain that to them, right? You're not going to get anything from that, right? But you don't know, maybe 10 years down the road, they're going to be like, shit, like maybe they come back to you again and they say, well, what about audio? You say this. What about this? And you say this. And then, like, you know, 5 years later, they go, you know, I need to do a video for this. What do you think? And you go, I think you should hire me. I think I would be the best person to help you with that. Then they're going to be like, yeah, for sure. Because you gave me advice every other time. It worked every other time. You put my best interests first every other time. Now when I talk to you and you say that you're the one to work with, I will believe you, right? And that's what happens, right? So not only do you, and the other thing too is like you can sleep at night when you do that, right? Because when you always put people's best interests first, you're always doing the right thing, you know. And people can say whatever they want to you on the comments and all that, and you just be like, I know where my heart is at. I know what I'm doing for people. I know I'm not trying to scam anybody. I can tell even just from when the talk you guys gave, like that's the kind of energy what they were talking about not trying to gouge people, always trying to help people, working in the community. Like that stuff will be really good for you in your long-term career, 100%. And that's the biggest thing too, man. Like just being able to sleep at night, it's like, it's key, you know. Does anyone have any other questions or?
I have a question about TikTok.
Yeah.
So, in the pandemic, started making TikToks, whatever, for no reason, you know, just whatever. So, I realized like TikTok is like kind of like a weird converted app. Like they say like kids, it's like kids can be on TikTok, but they show you like subliminal messages and stuff. So I found that weird. And then what happened to me is like I was making these random videos. I don't know if you remember, there was like that one effect and then songs like I think which one was something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how do you use this that particle to make this video? So I kept making them, right? And I was just like, whatever, in my room. And then I made one video and I'm wearing like whatever, so I kind of t-shirt, whatever. And I made another video, I'm wearing like shorts. And I was like, why is this video viral now? Like, how come this video got like whatever, 15K views?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay, it's because I'm wearing shorts. I checked the comments, everyone's like, oh, whatever, sexy stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, okay, so I can make these videos about my photography. You want to watch it?
Right.
I put some shorts on, everyone's here watching.
Right.
So, like, what I'm trying to do is I don't want to be out here, you know, like, I'm not advertising for myself, you know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to advertise with photography.
Right.
So, like, what specifically, like, what am I supposed to make for this to actually reach this audience?
That's a good question. And this is a common trap that like and particularly women get caught in, because it's like the more clothes that come off, the more guys' attention gets locked in. And when guys' attention gets locked in, the algorithm goes up and they get more views. And then all of a sudden now they're, you know, locked in, right? So that really comes around to like, number one, it's like dopamine, right? So things that you're doing that release dopamine in the body, which is like anything sex related, anything that has to do with socializing, anything that has to do with achievements, anything that has to do with eating or taking risks. All of those things release dopamine in the brain. And dopamine is like a transmitter that gets people high, right? When you do cocaine, it's all dopamine, right? So like when you do ecstasy, for example, it's all serotonin coming out. When you do dopamine, when you do cocaine, it's all dopamine. So to some degree, you can kind of like manipulate that process and know that, okay, if I am showing some skin or whatever, that's going to lock people in. But you have to remember, that might be also getting the wrong audience for you too, right? It might start building, let's say, a group of guys that like, if you were selling like an OnlyFans or something like that, then great. I mean, you're going to make a lot of money. But if you go then try to sell your photography, it might not work, right?
I don't know, guys.
Yo.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Nice seeing you guys. Cheers.
Bye. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you guys. Can I grab a picture of all?
Wait, watch this.
Yeah.
In front of the backdrop, let's just do a quick picture from the backdrop.
Don't go too far.
This is the truth, bro. I feel like I'm like in it.
So more behind the scenes.
You're getting flooded a little bit. Squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze in. No, stand up. Squeeze in just a little bit more. Yes, thank you. Okay. We have big photographer here. There you go. Can I also get a photo with me inside, if you don't mind? Thank you. We're here.
I'm trying to get that chair there. Let me take that for you. Like, no, we want you to photo.
And now from you? Don't worry about it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You guys have fun.
You want to take anything with you?
Thank you.
Oh damn! Just say one for me. No, okay. No, but that's a genuine question that I think a lot of people have, and particularly women. But I would say you definitely don't want to use your looks to as the sole thing that's going to get you traction, because unless you're selling your looks in some way, then it's not really even beneficial. It's like you're better off to have no followers than to have like thousands and thousands of ones that want you for the wrong reasons. So my suggestion would be to, if you're doing photography, get creative, right? And if you have a niche, start to know your niche really well. So like go out and doing videos where let's say you're into dogs or whatever, like you're gonna like go out and be like, hey, I'm have a video of you like going to take a picture of a dog, say it at a stranger or something like that. Be like, hey, can I take a picture of your dog? And then take the picture and then show them, and then they go, oh my god, that's amazing, like, you know, like, and then show the picture on the video that you did and stuff like that, right? Like things like that can be cool. You can also kind of like take your personality and throw your personality up there and like get to be known as like, you know, the individual that's like an interesting personality to listen to, like sharing your thoughts on things and then sharing your photos kind of at the side. You could use your pictures as like the green screen, and then kind of like pop into the video and be like, all right, so this is the video I took. By the way, before I even show it to you guys, like, I want you to know that I didn't do any blah, 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 right? And then be like, okay, and here it is. Like, and then start explaining the picture, right? Giving photography tips, right? Here's 3 things that you can do to make your shots better, right? Here's 5 ways to capture candid photos that most people don't know about. Here's 3 things about lighting that most people don't know. I was shocked when I found out about this photography tip, right? This one photography tip changed my whole life, blah, 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 blah. And then you're hooking people in and then getting people to watch.
So kind of always you're trying to give some type of information.
Always being informative, valuable. Like imagine you're talking to a client, right? Oftentimes too, you can give away all your secrets on TikTok and people will still want to hire you to do it, right? Because they'll be like, oh, this person just knows what they're talking about. Like, I'll just hire you, right? It's great. I love it. I'm not going to copy you though, because I don't have time. I just would like to hire you, you know, because you know what you're talking about. So being creative is really key. And again, using that formula of the hook, getting people in, locking them in, grabbing their attention and keeping their attention for a legitimate reason, right? That can make a big difference. Because I see it a lot too, where it's like you can go on someone's Instagram in particular, and whether it be a male or female, but you can scroll up and you'll see like the clothes start coming more and more off as you scroll. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, whoa. It works because it gets a trap too, where people get the likes and they go, well, I need this for the likes. I need this for the likes. It's like, but what likes are you getting, right? And you could have thousands of followers, but if they're all for the wrong reasons, then it's just useless. So it'll take you longer to get like legitimate followers that love you for you and like your work, but it's worth the effort. That's my point. So.
Even if you look at like I think also what happens because we're in North America, we get pigeonholed into what North Americans are looking for. You have to realize that it's across the world, right? So look at other creators in different countries and see what they're doing. Because sometimes they might not be showing any kind of skin because it's illegal to start there, right?
Sure.
Like sourcing ideas from them as well is a really good way to kind of shake yourself out of the mindset of what it has to be to go on. What it has to look like to get traction, right? Source from different countries, the trends in different countries usually take a long time to get here. So go on like Beagle, right? If you go on Beagle, you'll find the trends before they even get to Instagram or TikTok.
What is that?
It's so Beagle TV, it's more of like live interactions. We want to do more live things.
I think I read it.
Yeah, it's sometimes you see a lot of Americans screaming at each other. It can get a little bit crazy in different corners. But sometimes when you look at like apps that not everyone is using, it's a good place to source information from. TikTok, I think it's important to note that it used to be called Musically.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you say it?
Musically.
Musically. Okay, sorry.
So Musically used to be TikTok, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was?
Yes, that's what it was, and then
I thought
they
it was
branded. So that's why so much of the audio is so important for that platform. Like that's what kind of gets you moving more than anything. Like the audio, it doesn't have to be anything. But Beagle TV, I find something that's trending over there, the sound that's trending over there, an idea, a theme that people are doing. Eventually, you'll see it in TikTok. Eventually, you'll see it on Instagram. WhatsApp is also a really popular social media presence in other places. So you can tap into some of those things that have bigger demographics like India and China. The demographics are huge. North America is small fries. Small fries. See what they're doing in China, see what they're doing in India, and then bring it over here.
That's true.
Get ahead of the game a bit.
And follow people that you like are inspired by. Like I really only follow people that I've like I would follow you guys because I met you in real life, and then I follow people that like I can learn from. I don't follow like celebrities or anything like that. Like
Kind of cut through the noise.
yeah, and that way you can kind of get inspired. But yeah, there's tons of stuff that you could do. You just gotta be creative and find your niche and find what like excites you. You know, like because if you get up every day and you're kind of like, oh, I have to do this stupid thing again, like you won't be motivated. But if you find something that like you do a couple of times and you're passionate about it and you're excited about it, you might be like, oh, all right, this is something that you'll be consistent with and could end up growing an audience with, right? Like the guy who does drawing, like you could just draw and like show your art and be like, hi. Or you could be like that guy who goes on the subway and draws people on the subway while they're on the subway and shows it to them and records their reaction. That guy's like millions of views right now, millions of followers. It's gone on all types of shows, everything, right? You could easily do that yourself. I wouldn't say easily, but if you put effort in and consistency, you could do it. You know, you have the capability. You know, I've seen some of your photography already. It's really good. So it's about like, you know, even if you're doing a lot of stuff in the city, right, where you're like capturing certain things in the city, like working with people in Toronto and like, or working like the Toronto niche of some kind of like, you know, landscape stuff or whatever. And they like being like, oh, can you guess where this is? You know, or something like that. Like, or doing something where you like do a photography or something like that. And then you like put like a gift card or something. Like I put an Amazon gift card for $50 at the location of this
I remember that guy used to hide money under rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
Scarborough.
Yeah. And then like, if you want it, like, just go find it. You know, like really, you don't even have to put any money under there. People will just go, "Oh, someone got it already. Damn it!" Like, but yeah, just like, get creative with it. Because is there something outside of photography also that you do, or like, what else are you passionate about?
Jack of all trades, really. Like, I like photography, but my friends tell me, like, they know me for music. I don't make music. I just really like music. So when you're talking about, I refer this person to Walmart to get this hat, right? So I want to start, not necessarily like a clothing brand, just like a 1-2 thing. It's not my passion. I'm more into photography, but I do like fashion as well. And then my friends have told me that because of music that I put them on when we were kids, they became this type of person, and they have these interests now because of this music, like whatever, 10 years ago. So I feel like when you were like, oh, everyone has influence, that resonated with me. So I don't know what I do. Like, what even is that? I'm like a music recommender. I don't know. I want to be a DJ.
Curator.
Yeah, curate for playlists even too. Like, DJ is good. Make your own playlist. Make your own playlist on Spotify and all these other platforms. Then you can charge people to be on the playlist.
Oh,
That's big.
okay.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I'm trying to play this.
It's a big one.
I had another question about just like getting recognized, I guess, because another instance on TikTok, I was using the sound because, I just said I like music, so I was using the sound. It was Kitranada, I think it was the song Light Spots. So when I went on there, this was probably like 2020 pandemic times, so I just made a video and I was like, when you work, because my real name is Jezebel, so when you work in a retirement home full of Christian people and your name is Jezebel, and I'm just like, no one can hear me, whatever, right? I'm just like dancing to the track, whatever. So I posted that. I was like, oh, okay, let's see who else uses this sound. No one. I'm the only video. Really? For real? And then last month or whatever, last week, I see this skateboarding video using that sound on Instagram. I was like, no way. So I go see who's made videos to the sound. There are people. But I swear I was the first person. Like, what? And then that happened again with or not the exact same, but like Vomit Spit by MF Boom. Like, I was like, all these videos are just like random, like some next slideshow, some like old person doesn't even know how to use TikTok. And I'm the only one like making a video. And then MF Boom passed away, rest in peace, and all these people using the sounds. What? I was doing this, man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man.
On to that.
You'd be surprised. You're a trendsetter,
Yeah, when you're the trendsetter, you don't get your flowers when you're supposed to. Try to post it.
But I don't care that much. That's the thing. At the end of the day, I'm just like, okay.
You know what, too? Like, again, like, as you make TikTok videos, even if you're doing it with your photography, you could, and you're good at curating music, like putting like the best music, to your videos. and then hopefully if you start a trend, maybe that then could like pick up traction for the pictures that you're doing too, right? With photography, one really is joint ventures is probably one of the best things you can do with photography, because I was talking about that earlier. So like going in, like influencers in particular, as someone who's been identified as one, we love that shit. Like the best way to talk to an influencer is make them feel like they're so important. Like, oh my god, like you're amazing, and I would love to photograph you. You got to be careful because especially some of the guys are like a little bit more like, oh yeah, like come take pictures of me, and then they're gonna try to pull some bullshit, right? So, but in general, like I have friends who are photographers, and that's how we became friends, because they were like, yo, I want to do a shoot with you, and when I do shoots with my friends, like the photos that they took of me are the ones that do the best on their page. At least that's what they tell me, right? And I don't charge them anything because they're they're helping me out, right? So you can go to influencers all the time and be like, yo, I want to take your picture if you like tag me in the post. That boom, like that, you can just trade a fucking photo shoot for like what would it cost you $500 to do a promo. You know what I'm saying? So, and you can get around fast like that because I'm saying influencers, they are very self-centered, you know, and like and egotistical. So if you can say, hey, I'd like to frame your ego in a perfect way so that everyone can see you as amazing, they're gonna be like, yes, right? And they'll do it. I'm telling you. So yeah, lots of options for you. Just again, stay focused on that, on the art and attracting people for what you know to be your true value. You know, does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Is there any questions or?
You actually, by just hearing what you had to say in terms of social media, like most of that stuff, you answered a lot of questions.
Sweet.
That I already had in my head, so.
I've done talks like this many times, so a lot of the times, yeah. And I tend to cover a lot of the main questions are like right off the bat. But I would say that the one thing, if I'm gonna like leave you guys with anything, when we tell me, are we good for time or? Is consistency, and I know we said this already, but like consistency solves everything. Like if you're like, oh, I'm scared to do it, you get a lot less scared the more you do, right? I suck at making videos. You'll get a lot better if you're consistent, right? It takes me so long. It'll be a lot faster if you're consistent, right? Like, you know, everything gets improved. The momentum that you get, and momentum is key too, right? Like building a social media channel is like, it's like watering a plant, right? When it first starts out, you got to be like really on it, you know, and you got to water it consistently. If you don't water it at all, like especially when it's first growing, it'll just die right there, right? If you water it too much, like you flood it one day, because I'm not going to be here for a week, so let me just flood it today, you're going to drown it, right? Same thing with content. If you just like, oh, I'm not going to be around for a week, I'm going to flood my thing with content over and over, like 24/7 all day, everyone's going to be like, whoa, I'm out of here. Like, this is too much, right? Unless it's like amazing content. And, you know, if you, like I always say to people too, like if you're posting the location of where $1 million is, you can post as much as you want, right? No one's going to be mad. They're like, oh, they told us again where there's $1 million. Like, no, but another one. Like, they're going to love it, right? You know, it's like when Kanye just will post like 10 times in one day and you're like, oh, he's losing his mind again. This is hilarious. Like, you know, like, but we're here for all of it, you know? So, but yeah, the consistency just like creates that momentum to maintain a living organism. That's what it is. And like once it gets to be like a tree can go maybe for like a week without watering, right? Because it's a tree now. It's not gonna die right off the bat. But also if you leave it for a year without watering and it dies, you can't bring it back. You got to start from scratch. You got to plant a brand new seed, right? And so it's the same thing with your social media. If you leave it for a bunch of weeks and go, I came back and I had 20,000 followers and now when I post, no one responds. Like, yeah, because they don't even remember who you are, right? Like they forgot about you. And it's crazy. That's the world we live in right now. It's like I think about it like this, like someone said to me, they're like, oh, they're posting about me and they said this, this, and this. I'm like, dude, they stopped talking about Prince like 3 days after he died. Like maybe like a week they gave him, you know? They're not going to remember shit you just did, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like we had a pandemic for 2 years. When the Ukraine stuff came out, they're like, all right, pandemic's done.